Okay, so let's unpack this. You're curious about navigating life in Thailand as a foreigner.
Hmm.
And you've sent over this, well, fascinating stack of information. It covers banking, getting around by car, loads of stuff.
Yeah, quite a bit to dig into. And it's a good mix, too. Official guides, but also, real experiences from places like Reddit.
Exactly. That mix is great. So our mission today is to really, get into these sources, pull out the crucial bits, the stuff that'll make your potential experience smoother. That's overwhelming, hopefully.
We're not just skimming the surface here. We want those aha moments, right? Where things click.
Absolutely. We've got articles on the best banks, DSG Pay, get some mentioned guides on buying cars, those Reddit threads discussing both.
And also info on transferring ownership, insurance, Wise's guide on accounts, thaiembassy.com.
Wonderful package on bank accounts, too, and My Car on buying vehicles. It's a lot.
It is. And stepping back, you can see that while Thailand's welcoming, there are, understandably, set processes, especially for finance, legal ownership. It's about compliance, preventing dodgy stuff. Understanding why can actually help you, navigate it all.
That's a good point. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. It's clear living there is amazing. But yeah, setting up finances, transport, it requires understanding some key differences. So we'll break down banking first, choosing a bank, the paperwork, mobile banking.
Which is huge now.
Totally. Don't shift gears. Look at buying a car, financing, insurance, ownership transfer, all that. So let's start with the money. What do the sources tell us about the Thai banking system overall?
Well, the main players are the commercial banks. They're well-regulated, offer a pretty wide range of services that generally work well for expats. You've also got government banks, which are seen as reliable, stable options, too.
Okay.
And interestingly, back in 2023, Kasikorn Bank K-Bank got high marks. Really good feedback on customer service across, well, all their channels.
All channels. You mean like the app, in-person, website, that kind of thing?
Exactly that. A consistent experience however you interact with them. Siam Commercial Bank, SCB, was also up there, especially strong for international transfers and personal loans, apparently.
Got it. So consistency is key. Which banks specifically pop up in our sources as, popular or good for foreigners?
Yeah, several names come up again and again. Bangkok Bank, BBL, that one's mentioned a lot. Huge network of branches, ATMs, which is obviously convenient. Plus, they do multi-currency accounts. That's a big plus if you're dealing with money from different places.
Definitely. Who else?
Kasikorn, KB Bank, we mentioned, known for good service, user-friendly online banking. And yeah, Reddit users often tag it as foreigner-friendly.
Okay, foreign-friendly is good.
Then SCB against Siam Commercial. Comprehensive international services, different account types, even investment options. Krung Thai Bank, KTB, also gets a mention. Services supposedly tailored for foreigners, and they have a strong presence outside the big cities, in more rural areas.
Ah, interesting.
And the list goes on. Bank of Ayutthaya, or Krung Shri, TMB Thanachart, TTB, they focus a lot on digital banking. UOB, United Overseas Bank.
That's the Singaporean one, right?
That's the one. Strong presence in Thailand, personalized banking, wealth management. Then there's CIMB Thai, Kiatnak and Fatra.
Ah.
Each seems to have its niche.
Wow. Okay. So there's definitely choice, which is reassuring. What about actually using the bank day to day? Online and mobile banking seem pretty crucial from the sources.
Oh, absolutely essential, especially if you're an expat. Managing things remotely is just, well, necessary. Banks like Bangkok Bank, K-Bank, SCB, they have pretty well-regarded platforms, apps, and websites.
And what can you do on those?
The usual stuff, check balances, transfer money internationally, make payments using QR codes.
Ah, yes. QR codes are everywhere there, aren't they?
Totally ubiquitous. Use them for everything. And managing security settings, of course.
Right. Okay. QR codes. Noted. Now, moving money internationally. What about exchange rates, fees? How do the local banks stack up?
Generally, the Thai banks like Bangkok Bank and K-Bank, again, they often offer pretty competitive rates, and their fees for international transfers can be lower than some big global banks.
Yeah.
But then you also have alternatives mentioned, like DSG Pay.
Right. What's the deal with them?
They seem to position themselves as a maybe more cost-effective option specifically for cross-border transfers. Specialized accounts, maybe lower fees. Really, it's probably smart to compare. Look at the traditional banks. Look at services like DSG Pay. See what fits best for how much you'll transfer, how often, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. Do your homework. Okay, the big one. Opening the account. You land, you need a bank. What are the typical requirements, the hurdles?
Okay, so baseline is almost always your passport, a valid passport, obviously.
Obviously.
Beyond that, it really starts depending on your visa status. If you want more than just a basic account, you'll likely need a work permit or a residence certificate.
That's the one from Thai immigration.
Exactly. And proof of address is usually needed too. The TM.16 Form Your Arrival card sometimes works for that, or other documents. It gets tricky, though. One Reddit user mentioned Krungsri Bank asking for a tax ID number, a TIN, even though they had a non-immigrant visa.
Oh, wow. So it really can vary.
It absolutely can, not just bank to bank, but even branch to branch sometimes. If you're on a tourist visa, you might just get a basic savings account.
Okay. Any other potential catches?
Well, some sources mention banks sometimes, let's say, encourage you to buy insurance when you open an account, maybe even link it to getting mobile banking activated.
An upsell. Good to be aware of.
Yeah, and getting a local Thai SIM card registered in your name, that's often essential too for the account opening and definitely for mobile banking setup. But overall, for non-tourist visas, that residence certificate seems like a really key piece of paper to get sorted. It smooths things out.
Right. So get the visa, get the residence certificate.
Yeah.
That unlocks a lot. What about just general difficulties people face?
Well, language can be a barrier sometimes. Forms, explanations might be mostly in Thai, depending on the branch. And the regulations are pretty strict, anti-fraud, anti-money laundering stuff, so the process can feel quite detailed.
And it varies, as you said.
Exactly. And here's a really interesting point from the sources. Apparently, opening an account in Bangkok might actually be more difficult sometimes.
More difficult. Right.
Maybe just more scrutiny, compared to somewhere like Pattaya, perhaps, where branches might be more used to or actively courting foreign customers.
Fascinating. Location matters. Okay, let's totally switch gears. Cars. Getting around. Can a foreigner actually buy a car there? Own it?
Yes. Simple answer is yes. Foreigners can legally register a car in their own name in Thailand.
But I sense a but.
Well, just that the paperwork involved is usually more expensive than for a Thai citizen, as one of the sources points out.
Okay, more paperwork. So say you want a brand new car, walk into a dealership. What happens then?
If you're paying cash up front, you'll typically need your passport original and copies of your international driving license, copies of your non-immigrant visa, a copy of your work permit or that residence certificate from immigration, the actual residence certificate form itself, and a vehicle transfer form from the DLT.
DLT, Department of Land Transport.
That's the one. Now, if you want to finance it, pay in installments.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, pretty much the same documents, but the big hurdle, you almost always need a valid work permit, AND, a Thai national, to be your guarantor.
The guarantor again. That sounds like a major roadblock for many people.
It really can be. And the guarantor needs to provide their own financial docs, too. After you buy, you get a temporary red license plate, then the permanent white one, usually within about 6 weeks.
Okay, red plate, then white plate. What about buying used? Is that simpler?
It generally seems to be, yes, more straightforward, according to the info we have. For a used car, you'll typically need your passport, international driving license, non-immigrant visa copies, and a copy of your work permit, OR, a certificate of residence from immigration.
So maybe slightly less complex on the documentation front.
It seems that way. The TM-16 arrival card wasn't explicitly listed as needed for used cars in one guide. You can pay cash or try financing. But again, financing is the tricky part for foreigners.
Right, understood. What about the cost? What are we talking price-wise for cars?
Well, for common vehicles, including taxes, the average seems to range from maybe 500,000 up to 1 million Thai baht. If you do manage to get installments, maybe around 10,000 baht a month on average.
And what kind of cars are popular?
Japanese brands dominate. Toyota, Honda, mainly because they have massive service networks. Parts are easy to get everywhere.
Makes sense.
But Chinese EV brands are definitely growing, MG, BYD, plus Tesla. And there are potential government discounts for EVs meeting certain rules, the EV 3.5 regs, which could make them more affordable.
EVs making inroads. Good to know. Now, insurance. Given what you hear about Thai traffic, it must be absolutely essential.
Oh, 100% critical. The sources really stress this. You need proper insurance. There are basically 3 main types you'll see. Type 1 gives the highest protection, covers damage to your car, third-party stuff, pretty much everything.
Okay, that sounds like the one you'd want.
Often, yeah. And dealers often include it free for the first year on new cars, sometimes even used ones. Then there's Type 2. Still comprehensive, covers theft, fire, but usually doesn't cover damage to your own car if it's just a single vehicle accident like hitting a wall.
Okay. And Type 3?
That's the basic one. Only covers damage to the other person, the third party, and only if the accident was your fault.
Right. And the cost varies a lot, I assume.
Definitely. Depends on the car's age, mileage, engine, your driving record, your age, all that. And a key tip, try to find an insurer with English-speaking support. That could be really important if you need to make a claim.
Absolutely. What about this poor roarbor?
Yeah, that's the compulsory basic insurance. It's legally required for every vehicle, but the coverage is pretty limited compared to type 1, 2, or 3. It's just a basic minimum.
Got it. Compulsory minimum. Are there any other perks or extras to look for in insurance policies?
Yeah, some offer useful add-ons, things like roadside assistance if you break down, maybe a 24-hour English hotline, a courtesy car while yours is being fixed. Some even let you pay the premium in installments, which can help with budgeting.
Those all sound genuinely useful.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've bought the car, insured it. What if you sell it later or buy one from someone? How does the ownership transfer work for a foreigner?
Right, transferring ownership, generally two ways. Direct transfer, or what's called a floating transfer. Direct transfer means both the buyer and seller go together to the DLT office, the Department of Land Transport.
Right.
The car itself usually needs inspecting at the DLT branch where it was first registered. For you as a foreigner involved, you'll need passport, visa, the car's registration book, the blue book or green book, the transfer form, and crucially, one of the following for proof of address. That resident certificate from immigration or a yellow house book if you happen to have one, or your work permit if it lists your home address clearly.
Okay, one of those three. How long does it take?
Updating the registration book can take up to 15 working days, apparently. And you must notify the DLT within 15 days of the sale, or you could face a fine.
Good to know about the deadline. Fees involved too.
Yes, there are fees, transfer fee for the new book, stuff like that. And don't forget, the insurance needs transferring too.
Right. Insurance follows the car or the owner, needs sorting. What about this floating transfer?
That's basically where the seller just gives all the signed documents to the buyer, and the buyer handles the DLT process themselves.
Sounds convenient, maybe.
It can be, especially with dealers. But there's a risk for the seller. If the buyer doesn't process it quickly and the car gets involved in something illegal, the original owner whose name is still on the book could potentially be held responsible until the transfer is officially done.
Yikes. Okay, maybe direct transfer is safer then. Do the Reddit threads offer any extra tips on buying cars?
Yeah, they mostly backed up this info. People mention new car paperwork can sometimes drag on. Buying used with cash can be quicker, sometimes same day, but you still need that residency certificate or maybe an embassy letter for the DLT registration step.
Okay.
Going through reputable used car dealers, they call them tents, sometimes was recommended because they handle the paperwork hassle. Might cost a bit more than a private sale, though.
Trade-off between cost and convenience.
Exactly. And the advice was pretty strong. Avoid financing as a foreigner if you can because of the guarantor issue and potential long waits. One person waited months just for their permanent license plate on a new truck.
Months. Wow. Patience is definitely needed sometimes. Okay, we've covered a ton on banking and cars. Any other sort of final key considerations from the sources for our listener?
Yeah, a couple things. When picking a bank, think beyond just the services. Consider their actual branch and ATM network. Is it convenient for where you'll be? How's their customer service, especially English support? Do they seem used to dealing with expats? What's their general reputation?
Good practical points.
And for driving, this is really important if you're staying long-term. Get a proper Thai driver's license. Don't just rely on your home country license or an international driving permit indefinitely. Thai law might not consider those valid for long-term residents, and it could even affect your insurance if you have an accident.
That's a critical point about the driver's license. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What's the bottom line for you, our listener, from all this?
Well, it really looks like navigating banking and cars in Thailand as a foreigner, it just requires some homework, preparation, understanding that things might work differently than you're used to. Opening a bank account can have hurdles, requirements vary, but focusing on those expat-friendly banks and getting your documents sorted, especially visa and residency proof, seems key. And once you do get the account, mobile banking really does offer a lot of convenience.
Right. And on the car front?
Buying a vehicle, the process itself is defined. But financing, that looks like the big challenge without a work permit and that Thai guarantor. Whether you go new or used, having the right paperwork is crucial. And good insurance is pretty much non-negotiable given the roads.
Absolutely.
And remember those final steps, transferring ownership and the insurance after you buy. Don't forget those.
Okay, so here's a final thought to maybe leave you with. Thailand is integrating digital tech really fast, right?
Yeah.
Especially in banking, but maybe more in transport stuff coming too. So keeping an eye on the latest digital services from banks, maybe even government transport authorities, that could really streamline things for you as an expat down the line. What kind of future digital innovations do you think might make these processes even easier for foreigners living in Thailand in the next few years? Something to think about.